I woke up early, my heart racing with the excitement that Christmas morning always brought. The smell of cinnamon and coffee wafted from the kitchen, the lights from the tree flickering in the dark. I couldn't help but smile as I crawled out of bed, already feeling the anticipation of what would come. I had been dropping hints for weeks, trying to get a sense of what my parents had planned for me. This year, I was sure it would be something special. I had been good, really good, and after all, it was Christmas. As I walked downstairs, the living room was a flurry of red and green. The wrapping paper, the stockings, the tree. I loved the atmosphere, the family togetherness. But today, there, was something off. Something I couldn't quite place, but I felt it in the pit of my stomach. I was the first one in the room. My parents were still in the kitchen, laughing softly, the clinking of cups and plates breaking the silence. Then I saw it. My sister's new car sitting outside the window, shiny and pristine, wrapped with a giant red bow. My eyes widened. I couldn't believe it. Mom? Dad? "What is that?" I asked, my voice a little too high-pitched. My parents walked into the room, beaming with excitement. "It's for your sister," my dad said, his eyes lighting up with joy. "She's been asking for one for months." I stood there, frozen. My mind was racing, but my body couldn't keep up. A car for her. What about me? What about the thing I had wanted? What about my gifts? "You should go see it," my dad encouraged, clearly proud. "It's your sister's big day." I forced a smile, my stomach churning. "Yeah, I'll check it out." But the words felt hollow. My sister walked into the room, her smile brighter than ever, and without hesitation, she dashed to the window. She practically jumped with excitement as she ran outside to see the car. I stood there, my hands clenched at my sides. My parents didn't even look at me. No gifts, not a single one under the tree for me. I tried to speak, to say something, but the words wouldn't come out. "Isn't it amazing?" My sister's voice broke through my thoughts, her joy filling the room. I didn't respond. I couldn't. My mind was racing, replaying the moment over and over. I wanted to yell, to scream, to ask why they didn't get me anything. But what good would that do? What was wrong with me? Why was she always the one who got everything? I felt invisible. I was invisible. "Are you okay, honey?" My mom's voice finally cut through the silence. She sounded concerned, but I didn't care. "Yeah, I'm fine," I muttered, my voice flat. I couldn't bear to look at her, to look at them. They didn't get it. They never did. I walked to the kitchen, ignoring the conversations happening behind me, trying to escape the suffocating feeling of being left out, of being nothing. Sitting down at the table, I stared at my hands, my mind a whirl of confusion. Why didn't they get me anything? The question echoed in my head, louder with every passing second. I was good. I had been so good. I tried my best to help, to be what they wanted, but it wasn't enough. It never was. I wasn't enough. "Everything okay?" my dad asked from the doorway, his tone forced, as if he could sense the distance between us. "Yeah," I said again, this time softer, but the words felt like they were being dragged out of me. Fine. I wasn't fine. How could I be? I looked at my sister, laughing in the other room, sitting in the car, her joy so pure, so effortless. I hated her for it. I hated how easy everything seemed for her. She was the golden child, always. Perfect, always getting what she wanted, and here I was, sitting in the background, invisible. And that was the worst part. The absolute worst part. I wasn't even angry at her. I was angry at myself. I wasn't even worth the effort. I wasn't worth their time. And yet, there they were, showering her with everything she ever wanted. They didn't even notice me anymore. "You should come see the car," my dad called again, but I didn't move. I sat in that kitchen, staring at my reflection in the window, the weight of the morning crushing me. It wasn't just the gift. It was everything. The years of being second best. The years of feeling unseen. The years of being nothing more than a shadow in my own family. I wanted to leave, to walk out of that house and never look back. But where would I go? Maybe next year, huh? I muttered to myself, not sure who I was trying to convince. But deep down, I knew the truth. There would never be a next year. I was always going to be forgotten. I just didn't know it would hurt this much. Woke up the next morning with the sting of Christmas still fresh in my chest. The house was quiet. Too quiet. The usual buzz of post-Christmas excitement, the wrapping paper being cleared, the sounds of laughter from my sister, was replaced with an eerie silence. I should have felt better by now, right? The holiday was over, and everyone else seemed to move on. But not me. I couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed. Something fundamental. The look in my parents' eyes when they gave her the car. The way they didn't even look at me when I stood there empty-handed. I tried to tell myself it wasn't a big deal. It was just a gift. Just one gift. But deep down, I knew it was more than that. I walked into the kitchen, my eyes avoiding everyone, hoping no one would ask if I was okay. Of course, my mom didn't pick up on the subtle signs. "Good morning, honey," she said, already bustling around the counter, as if everything was normal. "Yeah, morning," I muttered, grabbing a coffee cup from the cabinet and filling it absent-mindedly. My dad sat at the table reading the newspaper. He didn't even glance up when I entered. I guess I wasn't worth the effort. Just like always. "You look quiet today. Something wrong?" Mom's voice broke through my thoughts. I hesitated. I wanted to snap at her, to scream that everything was wrong, but instead, I forced a smile. "No, I'm fine." "Okay. Well, if you need anything, you know where I am," she said, her voice soft, but I couldn't bring myself to believe her. I sat at the table, staring at the coffee. I could feel the emptiness surrounding me. My sister's laughter echoed from the other room, her voice cutting through the silence like a knife. I clenched my jaw, the words dying in my throat. How could they be so happy when I was suffocating? Didn't want to think about it. But my mind kept dragging me back to yesterday, the moment when I had stood there, watching my sister receive the one thing I had longed for. My mind replayed every little detail, over and over. The way my parents looked at her, the way they lit up when they handed her the keys. That wasn't just a car. That was everything I had ever wanted, and I was left with nothing. I could feel the resentment building inside me. It wasn't just the car, it was everything. Every time I had been overshadowed, every time I had been forgotten. "Why am I always the invisible one?" I whispered to myself, my hands trembling around the coffee cup. "Hey, are you okay?" My sister walked into the kitchen, her grin still in place. It was like she hadn't noticed anything had happened. I hated how carefree she was, how effortlessly happy she seemed. "Yeah, I'm fine," I said, my voice flat. She raised an eyebrow, clearly not buying it. "You sure? You've been kind of off today." "Just tired," I muttered, pushing the cup away. "It's nothing." She shrugged and started rummaging through the fridge. "Well, if you need to talk, you know I'm here." I wanted to scream at her. Did she really think I could talk to her? Did she even understand what I was feeling? Probably not. She was perfect in every way. She didn't have to deal with this. "Thanks," I said, forcing another smile. "I'll be fine." As she left the kitchen, I slumped in my chair, letting out a long, shaky breath. There it was again. The loneliness, the emptiness. I was always second best.
What could I do?
Always the one who wasn't quite enough.
How could I make them see me?
It hurt more than I wanted to admit
that I was worthy of their love.
I thought about the
their
years
attention.
that had passed. The more
All the
I thought
times
about
I
it,
had been overlooked,
the angrier I became.
I could
still
didn't
hear my
deserve
mom's
this.
voice,
I
telling
wasn't
me how
some
proud she
background
was of my
character in
sister
their
for getting
perfect
straight A's.
family.
While I sat in the
And yet,
background, as the
invisible,
day passed,
I didn't say anything.
I remembered the birthday
I didn't
parties where no
confront
one
them.
really paid
I
attention
didn't
to me,
scream.
where
I
my
just
sister got the attention,
let it fester
without even trying.
I just let it eat at
And
me
then
from
the
the
Christmases,
inside,
slowly
where the
gifts
consuming
piled
me.
up for her,
I
while
couldn't
I
keep
sat there with
pretending.
nothing but a vague,
But for
maybe
now,
next year,
I didn't know what to do.
I wasn't just the
Maybe,
invisible
just
child.
maybe,
I was
needed
the
a way to
forgotten
make them
one.
regret
But as
ignoring
much as
me.
it hurt,
Maybe
I
it was
couldn't blame
time to
my
show them
sister.
who I really was.
She
I didn't mean to overhear
didn't
it.
ask for
I swear I
this.
didn't.
She didn't
But
ask to be the
sometimes you
golden
just can't
child.
ignore
She
what
didn't
you're
make
meant
the
to
rules.
hear. It was my
I
parents.
was standing outside the living
They
room,
were the ones
holding
who
a
saw
glass
me
of
as a
water in
shadow.
my hand. The
When I
ones
heard
who
their
overlooked
voices.
me in favor of her. My mom and dad
I'll show
talking in
them.
low tones.
I muttered to myself.
I paused,
my voice
unsure
barely
if I should
audible.
turn around and walk away. But curiosity, no, pain, kept me rooted to the spot. I had to know. I had to understand why everything always felt so wrong. I just don't know if I can do it anymore. My mom's voice cracked, and I stiffened. She wasn't talking to me, but the words still hit. She's too much. Your daughter. She's impossible. My heart skipped a beat. Impossible? She meant me, didn't she? I leaned in, my breath caught in my throat. I know. My dad responded, his tone softer, but with that familiar hint of frustration. But you have to admit, it's easier with her. She's easier to love. I froze. I couldn't breathe. The glass slipped from my hand and clattered on the floor. The sound sharp and loud in the silence. They didn't hear it. Or maybe they didn't care. I just don't know why it has to be like this, my mom continued, her voice softer now, almost regretful. Why does she have to be so difficult? Why does she always have to make things harder for us? I could feel the betrayal like a physical weight in my chest. I wanted to shout. I wanted to burst into that room and demand answers. But I stayed there, frozen in place, listening to the truth that I had always felt but never confirmed. Maybe it's just, she's never been the easy one, Dad said, his voice flat. I mean, look at how she turned out. Everything's been so much simpler with her. With you, it's always been, he trailed off, clearly struggling to put his thoughts into words. Complicated, my mom finished for him. She's always complicated. I swallowed hard, feeling sick to my stomach. The weight of their words pressed down on me, crushing everything I thought I knew about my family. They had always favored her, hadn't they? I wasn't just imagining it. All these years, I had been a shadow in the background, and now I knew why. I wasn't the easy child. I wasn't the one who made them proud without effort. I wasn't enough. I just don't know how much longer I can keep pretending, you know? My mom's voice trembled now, her frustration giving way to something deeper, darker. I get it, my dad said. I get it. It's just, we have to make it work somehow. She's the one who needs the help, not the other one. Maybe she'll understand one day. But for now, we have to focus on the one who needs us most. The one who needed them most. The one who was easy to love. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run into that room and yell at them. To tell them how much they had hurt me. How much I had given up. How much I had tried to be good enough. But instead, I just stood there shaking with the weight of their words. For a long moment, the room was silent, except for the soft hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. I couldn't move. I couldn't think. I was drowning in their words, in the realization that they had always seen me as the problem. I turned away, my head spinning. I had to get out of there. I needed to be somewhere, anywhere, where I could think, where I could breathe. I walked to the front door, my mind a mess of anger, betrayal, and disbelief. But before I could step outside, I heard my dad's voice again. Maybe one day she'll understand. But right now, We have to put our energy into the one who matters most. That was it. That was the final straw. I couldn't stay here, pretending to be the good child, pretending that everything was okay when I was nothing more than an afterthought. I wasn't the easy one. I wasn't the one they loved. I wasn't the one who mattered. I stepped out into the cold, the icy air biting at my skin. But it didn't matter. I was numb. I had always been numb, but now it was different. Now, the truth was clear, and it was more painful than anything I could have imagined. Everything I had believed about my family was a lie. They never truly saw me. They never really cared. Not like they cared for her. As I walked away, I realized something. I wasn't just angry. I wasn't just hurt. I was broken, and I wasn't sure I could ever fix myself. I could feel the anger building inside me like a storm waiting to break. The conversation from the other day, the one I hadn't meant to overhear, kept replaying in my head, over and over again. I couldn't stand it. I couldn't just pretend anymore. I needed answers. I needed to know why they'd treated me, like I didn't matter. I marched into the living room, my hands clenched at my sides. My parents were sitting on the couch like everything was normal, like they hadn't just shattered my entire world with their words. I didn't even know what I was going to say, but I had to say something. "Mom." "Dad?" I said, my voice trembling but firm. "We need to talk." My mom looked up from her knitting, her brow furrowing. "What's the matter now, honey?" "You know what's the matter," I snapped, feeling the tension explode within me. "How long have you been favoring her?" Both of them froze. My dad put down his newspaper, looking at me like I had just slapped him. "What are you talking about?" he asked, his voice cold. "Don't play dumb," I said, almost yelling now. "I heard you. I heard everything. How you think I'm difficult, how my sister's easier to love." My mom's face went pale. "That's not— I'm not." "Stupid," I interrupted, the words coming out in a rush. "I've been overlooked my whole life. You've given her everything, and I've been nothing. Nothing." "Stop this now," my dad barked, standing up abruptly. "You don't know what you're talking about." "I do." My voice cracked with the weight of my frustration. "I know exactly what I'm talking about. You've been treating me like I'm invisible, like I'm just some inconvenience." "Don't say that," my mom pleaded, her eyes welling up. "You know we love you." "Love me? Then why do I feel like I'm invisible?" My chest was tight, my breath coming in short gasps. "You're so focused on her, on making everything perfect for her, that you've never cared to notice. Me?" "That's not true," my dad said, his voice finally shaking with a hint of guilt. "We've always been there for you. Always." "Really?" I sneered, tears stinging my eyes. "Then how come she gets everything she wants and I get nothing? I get nothing but your expectations and your disappointment. How is that love?" My mom stood up then, her face flushed with emotion. "We didn't mean for you to feel like this. You don't understand." "No, you don't understand," I screamed, my voice breaking. "All my life I've been fighting to get your attention, to get your approval, and it's always been her. Always. Why wasn't I enough for you?" There was a heavy silence. My parents were staring at me, but I couldn't read their faces. My chest felt like it was going to explode. The words I had bottled up for so long were out, and the anger surged through me in waves. "I didn't want to be like this," I said, my voice suddenly quieter, the anger draining from me. "But you've pushed me to the edge. I've been trying to be someone you'd love, someone you'd be proud of, but you never see me. You've never seen me." My mom reached out to touch my arm, but I jerked away, my body stiff with emotion. I couldn't stand the pity in her eyes. "I'm done being the quiet one," I said through gritted teeth. I'm done pretending like I don't matter. Maybe it's time you both figured out how much I really mean to you." I turned and stormed out of the room, leaving my parents standing there, lost for words. I was trembling, but it wasn't with fear anymore. I was angry. So angry. All the years of silence, of being ignored, of being second best, it had all come crashing down in that moment. I wasn't going to let them treat me like that anymore. I wasn't going to stay the quiet, invisible child. The more I thought about it, the more the idea took root. What if I could make them regret their favoritism? What if I could make them see me? Make them feel what I felt all these years? I didn't know how, but I could figure it out. They needed to feel the weight of their actions. They needed to understand what it was like to be overlooked, to be nothing. And I was going to make sure that happened. I couldn't keep being the one who was left behind. Not anymore. I didn't expect the shift to happen so quickly. One moment, I was lost in a sea of frustration and self-doubt, and the next, I could feel the anger turning into something else, something stronger. I wasn't just going to keep taking it. I wasn't going to be the invisible child anymore. For the first time in years, I focused on myself. I started doing things for me. I wasn't waiting around for my parents' approval, and I wasn't going to let my sister's perfect life overshadow mine. I started working out, improving myself, finding small victories in my daily life. It wasn't much, but it felt like I was taking back control, even if no one else noticed. Then, one day, as I sat in my room, something clicked. I needed to confront her. I needed to make her understand how much it had hurt, all those years of her getting everything while I was just there. I found her in the kitchen, sitting at the counter, scrolling through her phone. She barely looked up as I entered. I stood there for a moment, gathering my thoughts. This wasn't just about the car. It wasn't just about the Christmas gift. It was about everything. "You've got a minute?" I asked, my voice controlled, but sharp. She looked up, raising an eyebrow. "For you?" "Sure." I could feel my heart pounding in my chest, but I held my ground. "I need to talk to you about something." "Okay," she said, setting her phone down. She seemed calm, but I knew it wasn't going to stay that way for long. "You know what I've been going through, right?" I said, my voice trembling despite myself. "How it feels to always be in your shadow, to be ignored by our parents because you're the golden one, the easy one." Her face shifted, surprise, then a little confusion. "What are you talking about?" "Mom and Dad love you." "Do they?" I spat, feeling my anger surge again. "Do they?" "Because I've spent my whole life trying to be what they wanted, trying to get their attention. But all I get is second place. All I ever get is you getting everything. The car, the praise, the love. Wait. Are you blaming me for that?" she asked, leaning forward, her tone defensive. "I didn't ask for it. I didn't ask for the car or anything else. I don't control how they treat you. But you are part of it," I shouted, the words spilling out before I could stop. "Them. You're their perfect little girl, and I'm just the screw-up. I'm always in the background, never enough. They never even notice when I'm struggling." "I didn't know," she said quietly, and for a second, I saw a flicker of guilt in her eyes. "I didn't know you felt like that." "Well, now you do," I said, my voice dropping to a whisper. "You were always the one who could do no wrong. And I've been trying to prove that I could be something too. But it's like they don't even see me. It's like I don't even matter." For a moment, we just stared at each other, the tension hanging heavy in the air. I was waiting for her to say something, anything to justify the years of neglect, but she stayed silent, her eyes softening. "I didn't mean to make you feel like that," she finally said, her voice small. "I didn't realize what was going on between you and Mom and Dad." I shook my head, unable to look at her. "It's not just you, you know. It's everything. All these years it was like I was invisible. And now Now I can't pretend anymore. I can't just sit by and watch while you get everything. She stood up, moving toward me. I'm sorry, she whispered, her voice full of regret. I didn't mean for it to happen this way. I never wanted to hurt you. I looked at her, searching her face for sincerity. She seemed genuine, but it didn't change the fact that I had spent all this time feeling second-rate. I don't know what I wanted from this conversation, I muttered, my voice breaking. I just needed you to understand. I do, she said softly. And I'm sorry. I'll try to do better. I nodded, not sure what to say. The anger was still there, but something else was starting to replace it. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet. But it was something else. Something I hadn't expected. I'm not saying I'll forget, I said, my voice low. But this is the start of me taking control. I'm done being the second choice. I'm done being overlooked. She nodded again, stepping back, her face filled with uncertainty. I'll respect that. Good, I said, turning away. I felt a strange mix of relief and sadness. The conversation wasn't perfect, but it was a step toward something better, something different. As I walked away, I realized I wasn't the same person anymore. I wasn't just the overlooked child. I was becoming someone who could stand up for themselves, someone who would no longer let their family decide their worth. It was time to take control. It was time for them to see me, to see what they had, ignored for so long. I stood there, staring at the screen of my phone, my thumb hovering over the keyboard. I had the power now. I had all the dirt, all the secrets. I could expose everything, the lies, the favoritism, the years of neglect. I could tear their world apart, show everyone who they really were. But would it be worth it? Would it give me the closure I was craving? Or would it just make everything worse? My hand shook as I scrolled through the messages I'd saved. Those damning conversations between my parents, the ones I'd overheard and recorded. Each word felt like a knife twisting deeper into my heart. My heart burned with anger, but there was something else there too. Something darker. Something that whispered, do it. Expose them. Make them feel what you've felt all these years. I could feel the heat rising in my chest, but at the same time I was torn. What would I be left with once the dust settled? Sure, they'd regret everything. They'd regret what they said. They'd regret ignoring me. But would it make me feel better? Or would I just be left with the same emptiness I felt every time they chose her over me? I looked at the screen again, the cursor blinking as if waiting for me to make my decision. I could send the screenshots, write the message, and make sure everyone knew the truth. I could let the world see the favoritism that had shaped my life. I could break them the way they had broken me. But then what? Would it even be justice? Or would it just be petty revenge? Was I just angry? Or did I truly believe this would make things right? I couldn't decide. Not yet. I stared at the images of my parents on my phone, smiling, perfect, happy. The people I had always tried to please. The people who had never truly seen me. I wanted to make them feel that pain, to make them pay, but I wasn't sure if I could live with the consequences. The phone buzzed in my hand. It was a message from my sister. Are you okay? You've been kind of distant lately. I didn't answer right away. What could I say to her? Could I tell her what was going through my mind? Could I even trust her to understand? I didn't want to drag her into this mess, but I couldn't ignore her either. Yeah, just thinking about some stuff, I typed back. Everything's fine, but it wasn't. And I knew it. Everything was falling apart, and the more I thought about it, the more I realized I didn't have the answers. I didn't know what would make me feel better. I didn't know if revenge would give me the peace I was searching for, or if I would just end up even more bitter than I already was. The phone buzzed again, and this time, my mom's name appeared on the screen. "We need to talk," she wrote. Felt a cold wave of dread wash over me. Was she going to apologize? Would she admit that everything I had said was true? Or was this another attempt to gaslight me, to make me feel like I was the problem? I hesitated for a moment, then replied, "Sure, what about?" The response came quickly. "Can you come home for dinner tonight? We need to discuss some things." Home. I hadn't really thought of it as home for a while. Not since everything had come to light. Not since the truth had started to settle in, like a weight pressing down on my chest. But maybe this was it. Maybe this was the moment when I finally made my decision. Maybe this was when I stood up for myself. Maybe this was the moment I chose to let go of my bitterness and find my own path. Or maybe I'd go there, face them, and finally confront them, not with a message on my phone, but with my voice, with the truth. I took a deep breath and put my phone down on the table. The words that had been burning inside me for so long were still there, but now I needed to decide how I was going to use them. Revenge? Or justice? I wasn't sure which one would set me free. But maybe, just maybe, it wasn't about them anymore. Maybe it was about me. I stood up, walking toward the door. I wasn't sure what was going to happen tonight, but for the first time in my life, I was ready to face it. Whatever it was. The dinner went exactly as I expected. My parents sat across from me, their eyes darting nervously as I quietly picked at my food. No one said anything at first. The silence was suffocating, thick with unspoken tension. Finally, my mom cleared her throat, the sound too loud in the quiet room. "So, you wanted to talk about something?" I didn't look up. My mind was racing. I knew what this was. This was the fallout. They had seen the screenshots I sent, the conversations, the secrets exposed. And now, we were here. "Yeah, I did," I said quietly, finally looking at them. "I think you know what I'm talking about." My dad shifted uncomfortably in his seat, avoiding my gaze. "Listen, about those messages. We didn't mean for it to come out this way. It's not what you think." "Oh, really?" I said, the bitterness creeping into my voice. "Because it sure seemed like it was exactly what I thought. You've always chosen her. Always. And I just wanted you to see me for once." My mom reached for my hand, but I pulled it away. She looked hurt, but I didn't care. I didn't care if they were sorry. I didn't care if they were regretful now. The damage was done. "We do see you," my dad said, his voice low, almost pleading. "We've always seen you. It's just, we didn't know how to handle things." "Handle things?" I repeated, my voice rising. "You've been ignoring me for years. I've been begging for your attention, and you've just pushed me aside. But now that it's out in the open, you want to act like you didn't mean it? That's what you've always done, isn't it? Pretend nothing's wrong until it all comes crashing down." I felt the anger bubbling up again, but this time, it was different. It wasn't the same blind rage that had driven me to send those messages. It was colder now, more calculated. I was seeing the cracks in their perfect image, and it didn't feel good. It didn't make me feel better. "I thought this would feel better," I muttered, more to myself than to them. I thought exposing everything would make me feel vindicated. But all it's done is make everything worse. "What are you saying?" my mom asked, her voice trembling. "You're blaming us?" "No," I said, shaking my head. "I'm not blaming you. I'm blaming me. I thought I could force you to understand how much I hurt, but all I've done is tear everything apart. I can see it in your eyes. You're not even the people I thought you were." There was a long pause. My parents were silent now, their faces pale with guilt. But it didn't make me feel better. It just made everything feel emptier. The more I looked at them, the more I realized something. Revenge hadn't healed the wounds. It had just dug them deeper. I didn't want this, I said, my voice softening. I just wanted to be seen, to matter. But now I see that no matter how much I hurt you, it's not going to fix what's broken inside me. Sweetheart, my dad said, his voice cracking. We never meant to hurt you. We love you. You have to believe that. I don't know if I can, I whispered. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe that they cared, but all I saw now were the years of neglect, the years of being invisible. I thought hurting you would make me feel better, I continued, my voice thick with emotion. But all it's done is make me hate myself. My mom looked like she was about to speak, but I cut her off. I don't need your apologies. I don't need your guilt. What I need is to stop pretending like I'm okay with all of this. The tears started to fall, hot and fast, but I didn't wipe them away. I let them fall, feeling the weight of everything I had carried for so long. I'm done trying to prove myself to you. I stood up abruptly, not caring if they tried to stop me. I needed to leave. I needed to be alone. Where are you going? My dad asked, his voice laced with panic. I don't know, I replied, my voice distant. I need to be by myself. I walked out of the room without looking back. I could hear their voices behind me calling my name, but I didn't answer. It didn't matter anymore. The truth was, I wasn't angry at them anymore. I was angry at myself. I had tried to fix something that wasn't mine to fix. I had thought revenge would give me peace, but all it gave me was more pain. More confusion. I couldn't keep doing this. I couldn't keep fighting for their approval. I had to find my own way. I had to let go of the idea that they could ever be what I needed them to be. It wasn't about them anymore. It was about me, and for the first time, I felt a flicker of peace. I sat in my room, the quiet of the night wrapping around me like a heavy blanket. The house was still, too still. I had been avoiding everyone, trying to figure out where I stood after everything that had happened. The conversation with my parents, the secrets I had uncovered, the anger I had unleashed. Everything had been building up for so long. But now that it was all out in the open, I found myself at a strange crossroads. I stared at the walls, the familiar pictures of my family hanging there, mocking me with their perfect smiles. I'd spent years trying to be like those people in the photos, trying to be the perfect child they could love, the one who deserved their approval. But now, I realized something. I could never force them to love me the way I wanted. I could never make them see me the way I had hoped. I let out a long breath. I wasn't sure if it was relief or frustration that I felt. All I knew was that something inside me had shifted. I heard my phone buzz on the bed beside me. It was another message from my sister, asking if I was okay. I ignored it for a moment, staring at the ceiling, letting my thoughts wander. Did it matter if she understood? Did it matter if anyone understood? For the first time in my life, I didn't think it did. My parents' love was never something I could control. I could scream, cry, or lash out, but nothing would change the fact that I would never be the perfect child in their eyes. And that was okay. I didn't need their approval to know my worth. I picked up my phone, scrolling through the message. From my sister again. I miss you, it said. We should talk. I thought about responding, about explaining myself, but something stopped me. I wasn't ready to explain. Not yet. I needed time to figure out who I was without them. I realized something else then. I didn't want to be a victim anymore. I didn't want to keep playing this part where I was always hurt, always overshadowed, always ignored. I had spent too many years feeling sorry for myself, blaming everyone else for my pain. But that wasn't the truth. The truth was, I had the power to change how I saw myself. I had the power to stop being defined by them. Maybe I had been angry for too long. Maybe I had let that anger consume me, thinking it would give me control, thinking it would fix everything. But I was learning that real power came from letting go of that anger. Real power came from finding peace, from stepping away and choosing to heal. I typed a response to my sister. I'm okay. I just need some time to think. As soon as I hit send, I felt the weight lift from my shoulders. I didn't need to explain myself anymore. I didn't need to keep justifying my pain. I was allowed to heal at my own pace, to take my own time. I leaned back against the wall, closing my eyes. I was no longer the person I used to be, the one who craved validation, the one who constantly fought for a love that wasn't there. I was learning to stand on my own, to find value in myself, separate from my family's expectations. And for the first time, I felt okay with that. I wasn't perfect. I wasn't who they wanted me to be. But that didn't make me any less worthy. I wasn't a victim anymore. I was a survivor. I didn't expect this to be easy. I hadn't expected much of anything when I sent that last message to my sister. It felt like a formality, a gesture, something I should do before I moved on. But when I saw the read notification, my heart skipped. The phone buzzed with her reply. We need to talk. I've been thinking a lot too. I'm free now if you want to meet. I stared at the screen for a while. I wanted to be angry. I wanted to hold on to all the pain and resentment that had built up over the years. But I knew that wasn't going to help me anymore. I needed this conversation. Whether I was ready or not, I typed back, okay, I'll come by in an hour. When I got to her apartment, I stood at the door for a few moments before knocking. I was nervous, unsure of what this conversation would bring. But I had to try. I wasn't going to carry all this weight around anymore. She opened the door, her expression soft, hesitant. Hey, I said, walking past her and into the living room. I didn't sit immediately. I paced for a few moments, trying to gather my thoughts. So, she began, sitting on the couch. What's been going on with you? I feel like I've barely seen you in weeks. I stopped pacing, looking at her. I've been thinking a lot. About everything. About what? About us, I said, sitting down opposite her. About our family. About what's been happening between us. She bit her lip. I've been thinking about that too. I nodded, feeling a knot form in my stomach. I can't keep pretending like things are fine. I thought if I exposed everything, if I made it clear how much I've hurt, that it would fix everything. But it didn't. All it did was make things worse. She looked down at her hands, her fingers, twisting. I know, I'm sorry. I never realized how bad it was for you. You couldn't have, I said, the words coming out softer than I'd intended. You were the one they always chose. You were the easy one. I didn't want that, she whispered, her voice breaking. I didn't ask for it. I didn't ask to be the perfect one. I didn't want you to feel like that. I paused, feeling the anger and the hurt start to ebb away. She wasn't my enemy. She wasn't the one who had done this to me. I had built this wall between us, and I had been too angry to see her side. I know you didn't ask for it, I said, the lump in my throat making my voice thick. But I couldn't help but resent you. I thought you had everything, and I had nothing. I thought if I could just be more like you, maybe they would notice me. But that was my mistake. I can't keep trying to be someone I'm not. She nodded, her eyes wet with unshed tears. I never wanted to hurt you. I never wanted to make you feel less than me. Maybe we both failed each other, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. But I'm tired of being angry. I'm tired of holding on to this resentment. The silence between us was heavy, but it wasn't the suffocating silence I had grown used to. It was different, softer, almost healing. "I don't know if I can forgive everything yet," I said. "But I want to try. I want us to be able to move forward, even if things won't ever be perfect." She wiped a tear from her cheek and nodded. "I want that too. I'm sorry for everything." I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the years lifting, if only a little. "I think I'm done needing their approval," I said quietly. "I've spent too long trying to make them love me the way I wanted. I've been angry at them for too long, but I think I can finally let go." She didn't say anything at first, but the look in her eyes told me everything. She understood. She saw me, even if she couldn't have before. "I don't know if full reconciliation is possible," I said. "Not with Mom and Dad. But I know that it's not about them anymore. It's about me." She nodded again, her voice steady. "I get that. And I think I understand more than I ever did before." I smiled faintly, feeling a warmth spread through me. "I'm not the victim anymore, and I don't want to keep being angry. I can't change the past, but I can decide how I move forward." She reached across the space between us and took my hand. "I'm proud of you. You've grown so much." I squeezed her hand and looked into her eyes. "We both have, and I think we're going to be okay." It was hard to let go of everything, but I knew I had to. Holding on to the past wouldn't make me any stronger. Forgiveness wasn't about them. It was about me choosing peace over anger, choosing to move forward, not for them, but for myself. As I left her apartment that night, I felt a sense of liberation I hadn't known in years. The weight was lighter. I was lighter. I wasn't the same person I had been when this all started, and I wasn't sure if I ever would be. But that was okay. I wasn't looking for their love anymore. I had my own. I woke up to the sound of birds outside my window, a soft melody I hadn't really noticed in a long time. It was a new morning, but more than that, it felt like the first day of a new life. I stretched, taking a deep breath, and for once, it wasn't filled with the usual weight of dread or anger. It was just quiet. I thought about everything that had happened, about all the hurt, all the pain I had carried for so long, the way I had let it define me, the conversations with my family, the fights, the endless cycle of trying to make them see me, to make them love me. I had spent so much of my life trying to force something that wasn't meant to be. Now, it felt different. I felt different. I got up and walked to the kitchen, making myself a cup of coffee. I didn't need to rush. There was no one to impress, no one to fight for my attention. It was just me now. And that felt freeing. I picked up my phone, scrolling through messages. There was one from my sister again. "Are you doing okay? I miss you." I stared at the words for a while. I didn't know what to say to her anymore. She was still my sister, but things had changed. I had changed. Instead of responding immediately, I put the phone down and went outside. The air was fresh, the sun beginning to rise higher in the sky. I closed my eyes for a moment, feeling the warmth on my face. It was a small thing, but it made me realize how much I'd been missing, how much I had been holding on to without even knowing it. I finally sent her a message. "I'm okay, just needed some time to figure things out." The response was almost immediate. "I understand. We'll talk soon, okay?" I smiled to myself. I didn't need to explain everything to her right now. I didn't need to make anyone understand. I had learned that the only person I needed to answer to was myself. I took another sip of my coffee and looked out over the street. I realized that I was no longer looking for someone else's approval. I wasn't waiting for my parents to validate me or my sister to understand me. I had stopped waiting for a love that didn't exist the way I wanted it to. The silence wasn't uncomfortable anymore. It felt like a promise that I could be okay on my own, that I didn't need anyone to complete me. I was enough. I thought about what I wanted now, not in terms of my family or their expectations, but in terms of me. What did I want to do with my life now that I wasn't defined by my past? I had no answers yet, but I wasn't afraid of that. For the first time, I felt like I was in control of my own story. I wasn't a victim. I wasn't someone waiting for things to happen to me. I was the one who made things happen now. I heard my phone buzz again, this time with a message from my mom. It was simple. "I'm sorry. I hope we can talk soon." I didn't know what to say to that. Part of me wanted to scream at her, tell her how much she had hurt me, but I wasn't that person anymore. Instead, I just typed, "I'm figuring things out. It's going to take time." It wasn't a perfect message. It wasn't an apology, but it was the truth. And sometimes, that was enough. I put my phone down again and stepped back inside. I didn't need anyone else to tell me I was worthy. I didn't need to seek validation from anyone anymore. I was strong enough on my own. I was ready for the next chapter. And this time, it was mine to write.